All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome back to Chris's Sports Corner. Real quick, man, hope everybody's having a great Wednesday. Man, it seemed like as this NBA draft and free agency start to get closer and closer, it's like stuff just keep popping up and things are just ramping up. I mean, every time I think I can get away and do something else pop up, and I'm right back here in front of the camera talking to you guys. Exactly where I want to be. Exactly what I love to do. All right, man. So we're gonna talk about it, man. The Houston Rockets. There's a lot of stuff going on right now with them. We know that they pretty much had a whole change in regime, from the GM to the coach and well, before we go on, guys, I'm gonna play your little audio and then we're gonna talk about it.
Today are in Houston. I want to start with you, Houston native. Well, I guess you're in Houston. She's the Houston native. Do you have any doubts, though, Perk, about Harden and Westbrook's future in your town?
Yes, Rachel, I'm scared. I am very scared. And Tillman Fertitta is really dropping the ball right now. And look, James and Russ are not happy. I talked to reliable sources, and I told them I wouldn't mention their name today, but James and Russ are not happy. James have not been answering the phone for the ownership or the front office or even Coach Silas for about 2 weeks now. Russell Westbrook is not happy. The reason why is because they don't feel included in the process. The front office, the owner, they're not including them in decision making. And newsflash, your franchise players gotta know what's going on. Tillman Fertitta is common sense. It's not rocket sciences. But to some people, common sense is not that damn common.
All right, guys. Well, those was the words directly from Kendrick Perkins about what's going on in Houston. You know, he say he have his inside sources. I don't know who Tillman Fertitta is, but I know who Tillman Fertitta is, the owner. But anyway, now let me say this. Kendrick Perkins is known to be a little bit eccentric. That's the right word I'm looking for. He's known to be one of those people who, you know, he sways he's an all-in type of guy. And what I mean by that is he'll double down quick. And when he got some information and he got an opinion, he gonna just give it to you, right? Like, so, but let's take this for face value. Now, this could not be true, but let's just talk about what he's reporting here. So he's pretty much saying that Russell Westbrook and James Harden do not feel included in what the franchise is doing. The management changes, the coaching changes. He's not answering they're not answering the new, well, mainly he said James Harden. I don't know if that's applied to Westbrook as well, but they're not answering Coach Silas, the new coach. They're not answering his phone calls. They're not communicating with the organization. Now I will say this: if you got your star players, got to be a part of what you're doing, because those are the ones that got to get along with the people that you put in place. Because the last thing you want to happen is people be put in place and it's not working, and you get bulk back from your superstars. I got a video coming later about the fact that there's some teams that are actually really, really interested in Russ. And I'll talk about that later, so make sure you guys check that one out. But now I do think that it's hard to say that they're not talking to the organization, they're not answering their phone calls. Well, then that's not. I don't know if you can really say the organization not communicating if you're not picking up their phone calls. For me, I think that these are two guys who the only thing left to accomplish the championships. When you look at Westbrook, when you look at Harden, they got the regular season accolades. You talk about regular season numbers, regular season points, triple-double. They got all of that. They've done it all. But when it comes down to it, regardless of whether you want to say it or not, the thing is, can they win the chip? That's the question. That's going to be the question over these two guys' head. So I think they're hitting this point in their career. They're like, hey, man, we want to compete. We want to compete for a championship. Now I don't know if it's so much as Tim Fertitta's job to reach down to the players, even though he should. Not saying he should, but as the owner, that's what you got a general manager and a coach for. Now I'm not saying that they don't, because even when you look at a team like the Lakers, you always hear them talk about communicating with Rob Pelinka doing this and doing that. You never really hear them say, well, Jeannie Buss told us this. And so I understand wanting to have that relationship with your star players, but at the same time, I see fault on both sides. Like you can't ignore their calls and then say they're not communicating with you. Like that's kind of catch-22. Maybe they're talking about the things that happened prior to now, and now since these happen, they don't want to talk no more. But at the end of the day, that get nothing done. They get nothing done. Now I said it from the jump. This is gonna be interesting because you had the coach for the style of play that you sought this team up for. You no longer have that coach. He's actually somebody's assistant now. You had someone like Daryl Morey, who was very aggressive. We don't know if the new guy going to be that aggressive. Maybe, I don't know, but we don't know if. But Morey was trying to put anything together to make a championship run, and it didn't quite pan out. And one of the things I think about that when I think about all the things that he was doing, maybe he didn't give things time to fester. Like it felt like, oh, that didn't work, move it. Oh, that didn't work, move it. That didn't work, move it. It's like, okay, wait, let some. The one thing I feel like James Harden is yet to have is just some continuity. Yeah, he's on one team, but it's always some different player. First is Dwight, then it's Chris Paul, then it's Russell Westbrook, and it's like he have to build a rapport with certain guys and just let it go from there. I don't think he's ever had a solid team like these the guys I'm running with for the next 4 or 5 years. Now whether that's his fault or the team fault, that's up for debate. But overall, things are not looking good in Houston right now because I think they're stuck with a roster that's hard. Like it got to a point where, in the playoffs it was like, they're just not big enough. They just not big enough. Even though I thought they played well above their size. I felt like they put the effort in. But when it comes down to it, the road to a championship is only getting harder. And the Rockets feel like they're at this sticking point right now. And I can understand the impatience. I can understand being upset. But not communicating on either side is not going to get the job done. If the ultimate goal is to win a championship, and if you want out, say you want out. Let's not draw this thing out. Now, no one has requested a trade. I haven't heard anything like that. I haven't seen anything like that. I don't want to even put that out there. But I'm just saying you got to get to a point because the season starts next month. So you don't want to go into the season with all these things hanging over your head. Free agency starts on the 20th. The draft is on the 18th. You got to sit down and come to the table, man. You got to sit down and come to the table if you want to work this thing out. With that being said, guys, that's according to Kendrick Perkins and ESPN. So shout out to those guys. If you believe what he said, he says he has a very reliable source. I have no reason to doubt him. He can be a little eccentric. He is very blunt, but that don't make him wrong. With that being said, guys, please like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Until next time, you guys be great, man.